Good morning, everyone. So, real quick question. This came up this weekend, and some of our associates said, "Hey, Mama C, can you share on this?" And I was like, "Sure, not a problem." Um, my camera is spiritually on. Oh my gosh, Michael Sims, that is so hilarious. I love that. So that is awesome. And here's what's interesting. Any of y'all that are connected to your MLSs, typically we get updates that tell us about certain issues that have arose. Okay. Please make sure you're reading those articles because the National Association of Realtors right now has placed huge safety measures in place because of the growing number of associates who are in predicaments. And this is what's interesting. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a lot of it was basically geared at our female associates. Now they've switched. Now it's geared at male associates. So this is not about placing, one above the other. This is what we want to talk about today are the safety issues and the safety protocols that we as business owners should always have in place. So if I was to ask some of the people on this call today, how many of y'all still follow a safety protocol when you're leaving your home? Chris Duff. Chris Duff. Okay, come off mute, Liz. But Chris Dove, what is your safety protocol that you do to make sure you make it home safely?
I always tell Dylan where I'm going when I leave. First off, I always carry Betsy. Second off, and then I have that jewelry, the Invisaware, that you can hit that shows your location. I never give people my back. I always watch who's following me. If I have a weird suspicion, I let them view the house and I don't even go inside.
Excellent. And so, Chris, let me ask a question. Why do you never show your back to your people?
And when you post on social, I post 2 days behind and you don't usually know where I am. So I don't put my back to people because you never know how they can take advantage of you. You never know if they have a gun, if there's more people. So always just kind of, this is your guy. I would love for you to see the house. Oh, you want to go in? No, no, you go in. I'm not doing it. So
Excellent, excellent. So, Liz, what is your safety protocol?
So right now for me, Jose actually goes with me to most of my showings. My husband, if you know my husband, he's 6'2", big dude. So the likelihood of somebody trying to get me is very slim, but it still can happen. However, now, so on my phone, I share my location. If I'm going by myself, he has my full breakdown of every house that I'm going to, the times that I'm going to be there. And then when I'm getting ready to show property, I have somebody on speakerphone. I'm just like, yeah, I just got here on such and such property. I'm about to open up the lockbox. He already, and I'm like, yeah, I'm with Bob and Jill right now at 123 Main Street. We're about to walk into the house. I have no shame in putting people on blast so people know where I'm at all times. Very much like Chris Dove, she carries Betsy. I have my little bang bang in the purse. So know your counties. I will say that know your counties, know the rules and regulations if you have a firearm. And that's pretty much it. Like Chris said, I'm very much aware of my surroundings. So typically when I get to the first property, I get there about 15-20 minutes before so I can look around the area, see if I see anything fishy. And then I'll decide, and I'll sometimes walk in the property before they get there so I can turn on all the lights, make sure no one's in there, just to make sure that I know the way I'm getting, I always have a plan B. So God forbid somebody comes in through the front door, I know how to get out through the second door. So I just always have some kind of exit escape route kind of thing. I think it comes from being
and
up north.
if there's a crowd like at an open house and I feel really weird about the people that come in, I will literally go live on Instagram and announce
Yeah.
it.
That is a great safety feature, Chris, and I'm glad that you brought that up. So here's what's so interesting. is most of the time, us as realtors and business owners, we don't see the benefit of having a safety protocol checklist in place. I encourage you to develop one. I encourage you that your safety protocol starts at your initial consultation with your person, be it a seller, be it a buyer. You ask specific questions and you keep yourself safe. So if I were going to meet a buyer that I have spoken to on the telephone, since we are a virtual world, I encourage you to have a consultation via Zoom so that you can see that person, so that you can be aware of that person. I'm going to show some slides and drop some links from the National Association of Realtors that gives you a great roadmap to follow. Here's the thing, I want to go through a scenario. All right. Safety protocols that I keep in measure is I use a app called Forewarn. There are many other apps out there. Typically, we get a break with our MLS if they have a special commitment to Forewarn, but there's others that are out there. I look up the person on Forewarn. Forewarn will give me their phone numbers, their addresses, their criminal background. I use it even beyond real estate. I check to see, let's say I get a text message. Here's the beginning of, working with buyers. This is a scenario. I get a text message. Hey, Claire, are you still doing real estate? Yes. How can I help you? Right? We get these all the time. So the first thing I do is whatever that text message is, before they respond to my text message, I take that number and I put it into Forewarn. And I find out who this person's number belongs to. 3 this week, last week, because today's Tuesday, 3 last week, okay, were not even the person that they said that they were. And what did I do? I literally said to them, could you explain to me the reason why that your name is not attached to this number? I think that there has been a disconnect, and I want to make sure, based upon my safety protocols for my team, that we're all being copacetic. Crickets. Didn't even contact me back. Blocked the number. Next. That happens quite frequently. So then when I'm receiving a personal referral, okay, I still want to have that conversation. I want to see this person. I'm not going to bring them to my house. I may meet them at a coffee shop prior to seeing any properties. I want to know what vehicle they're driving. I want to see their faces. I want to build rapport, make sure that they're qualified before I even take them to the house. Okay. If I'm seeing a house, more than one, typically my safety protocol is this. I schedule the appointments. It goes on a one line from my MLS. Can y'all see that? It has the times. It has the dates. And this sheet goes to my husband. My husband knows that 10 minutes after that time, he gives me a text message and it says, are you okay? I can say yes or no. If I say no, he dials 911 and he tells them where I'm at because he has the address. Now, if my husband happens to be flying, then I get one of my associates to do the same thing. They're my safety protocol person. Okay. That is a great measure, whether you're male or female, to put in place just in case. Because here's what's coming up and what's coming from NAR. We have homes that are vacant that have been occupied by squatters. These squatters are racked out of their brains and are causing damage to the homes as well as the people who are showing them. It's just something to be aware of. And what's interesting is it's the guys that are typically getting in these situations, not the gals, which is odd. However, that seems to be the statistics that have been coming out for the past 2 years now. So let me share something with you. I want to carbon copy this, plug it in. This is a good, I'm going to drop 3 links in the chat of where you can go to build and have resources for your protection that are at your disposal. And this is what's funny. A lot of us that have been in the business for a long time take for granted and have heard these safety protocols quite frequently. However, we've got new associates. How many of the new associates that have that are a part of GPS have heard of these safety protocols? Raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised.
I'm
Right?
going to ask you to repeat the question, Claire.
Oh, okay. How many of y'all that are new associates have heard that you need to have safety protocols put in place when you're showing properties or when you're going to meet sellers? Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Desiree. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Freya. Good morning. So
Good
here's
morning.
what's cool. This is not just about, oh my gosh, I have to get my concealed weapons license or any of that. This is having a whole safety protocol in place so that you don't even need to use it. Okay? Because let me be perfectly honest. How many of you on this call today understand that are in the state of Florida that if you choose to use your firearm because you are in imminent danger and you do not kill that person, you will no longer have a life? Yes, Chris. Are you willing to suffer the consequences of maiming another human because you did not kill that person? I hold a firearm. I know how to use a firearm. However, I would much rather defuse the situation to where I never had to take that gun out of its holster. I don't want to kill another human being just because they decided to make a wrong decision and come at me. I'm sorry. Human life is precious to me. Now I'll use pepper spray, I'll use mace. They make cartridges that have them both that will keep that person at a distance. They make other ways and means instead of resting upon, oh, I have a gun and I can use it. However, if you do not kill that person, they will sue you because they'll say, well, this is my domicile. Even if they're a squatter, that's my domicile. And what are the cops going to do? It's a whole big lawsuit. So I'd rather us not go down that road. Let's put measures in place to keep you out of where you have to unholster your firearm. Okay? I love my firearm. I don't have a problem with my firearm. I've been using firearms since I was 7 years old. Firearms to me are food, not people. Firearms to me are not a ways of protection. It's a way of life. Nobody can take your guns away when we're using them properly and we know what they're for. I choose to use my gun because I like to eat. Okay? I don't eat humans. I know that was a little dark. I just want us to realize and have in our heads that a false sense of security for some people can be carrying a firearm. I'd rather have other measures in place for us so that way that's never an option. Okay? I have had to use my firearm once during a showing. Would you like to hear about it?
Yes.
Okay. Many of y'all know that I show properties that are not necessarily in the best shape sometimes. And I had this cute little single mom with her son who was about 5 years old. I was showing property up in White House, you know, a little house, concrete block house. It was on an acre of land. Grass hadn't been cut. And so we're looking at the house. We walk out the back door, you know, and Chris, I will say that I did have my back to my people because I wanted to look at the backyard before they did. And I opened the back door, I shut it, put my arm across the kid, and I asked the woman, I handed her my keys. Not a good idea, but I did it. Handed her my keys because I had drove her around because I had vetted her. I said, could you do me a favor and please go back, you and your son, please go get in my truck. Just go back, go get in my truck. Open the door, pop 3 shots, close the door, called the cops because I was inside Duval County and there was a moccasin there. The cops came, they were like, how do you know it's a moccasin? You know, typical, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I pulled it out of the back of my truck and he was like, he backed up and he was like, oh my. I was like, yeah. And I said, so I did fire my firearm within city limits. I know I'm supposed to call the cops. Here's what I shot. And he goes, well, you're gonna have to wait for FWC. I said, no, you can. I've got to get to another appointments. We're showing houses. Bye. So that
Did
is
you
when I
hand
had
him
to
your
use my
business
gun.
card too? Like, here's my business card.
Yeah, I did. I left my business card and he was like, anyway, that was the short story. Another situation that I had, first time meeting an investor, which we had met at a coffee shop prior to going to see homes. He wanted to flip a few and he wanted to hold a few. So the majority of the properties that we were going to were in an area that was well known for squatters. I typically in the fall wear a sports coat because I keep my gun behind me. And when I bent over to open up the lockbox, I noticed that he started backing up. So what did I do at that point? I stood up, I said, do we have a problem? And he goes, I don't know, do we? And I was like, it is my duty to serve and protect the consumer. We are looking at houses that could possibly have squatters and I'm here to protect you. He started laughing. He bought 5 homes from us. It was just one of those things, you know? So just be aware that if you're choosing certain ways to do your business, just make sure you're keeping it consistent with safety. You know, at any given point in time, that dude could have reached back and grabbed it. Yes. However, I had already vetted the fact that he wasn't that type of person, you know? So I want y'all to stay safe.
Can I add something in, Claire?
Yeah.
Doesn't safety and being aware of your safety doesn't just apply for showings. Here in my area, unfortunately, we had a male realtor, who was shot and killed because of a closed deal and the client was disgruntled. And he went by himself to the property to see the client, and that client shot and killed him. And in our area, one of the suggestions was that bring your broker, bring a fellow associate with you, bring multiple with you. If you know that they are upset or in a hostile situation, like mindset, like if they're cussing you out, telling you to come over, you need to wait until feelings settle. And if you have to go over, do not go alone. Make sure that you have someone with you and that others know. So just going back to the fact, it does not just apply to showings. It can happen after. It can happen at the pop-by if they're really pissed off and you're just trying to bring a gift or something. So always have your safety and your client's safety in mind.
I do not recommend anyone ever showing property or going into a hostile situation that they don't specifically know the people unless they're with a partner. You know, that is the God's honest truth right now. People at any given point in time could flip script and go off. They can just go off, you know, and I want y'all to remain safe. And this call is not to scare you from doing what we do best, which is serving people with their real estate needs. Please get that. Please understand that. This is just make sure you're handling your business well. Now, if you had a storefront, okay, let's think of it this way. If you had a storefront, would you have a security system? Would you lock your doors? Where's our storefront? Where is our storefront? Go ahead, Freya.
Yes. So what are the safety measures that you use besides the peppermint? I don't like firearms whatsoever. No, yeah. I have 6 grandkids. I don't want firearms around me. Of course, they don't live with me or, but still, nevertheless, like I mentioned yesterday, I used to work for Redfin as an associate agent, and they did the ID checkup, and those things. So they took care of all of that before we went to showings. So what is the recommendation with EXP in order to be safe? Yes, because definitely.
Absolutely. So the links that I dropped in the chat help lead you to a correct safety plan that works for you. However, your safety plan starts at the first initial contact of your people. And I highly recommend do not meet your people at a property by yourself on first initial consultation. Ask them questions, ask them to send you their ID, make sure that your lender, if it's a buyer, has their information as well, because all of that starts well before you're meeting anybody at a property. And these days, I highly recommend, unless you know this person, take somebody with you when you're showing property. Take somebody with you when you're going on a listing appointment. I go on listing appointments where the house is vacant because it's their second home or it's their vacation home. We don't know if anybody's squatting in there or not. Just have a safety protocol measure in place. And those links that I put in there will lead you through that path.
You put it in the chat?
I did.
Okay.
Do you want me to drop them again?
Oh, please, would you?
Tiffany,
Please.
can you drop those 3 links again?
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No worries.
I was working out. Yeah, I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I need to work out. I need to do my thing in the morning before I get into the meeting because, man, if not, I don't function well.
Yes, and so another thing that Chris Dove put in there was, a self-defense class. This is for men or women. Make sure you have basic self-defense so that you understand. Women, if you're grabbed from behind, what's the first thing you should do? Come on, Chris, tell us.
You got to dip down and burrow out with your elbows.
Dip down.
Aikido is a great class, especially for women. It takes someone else's energy and you learn to use it against them instead of doing more grappling work like jujitsu and karate.
Yep. So the majority of your MLSs, no matter where you are in Florida or abroad, because I know that we have people that are on this call, the majority of our MLSs offer a safety course. Please take it. Please take the safety course. Find out when it is and attend.
So is that those are offered in the realtor association?
Most of the time, yes, your realtor association does
Okay.
at frequencies. Typically, they're quarterly or biannually. They will do a safety course.
Okay, doke. Thank
And
you.
I highly recommend going. And for most of us that are members of the MLS, it doesn't cost us anything. So those are free. And Lori, thank you for putting the free app on there. Thank you. These are all ways that we collaborate, because old school people like myself, I've followed the same protocol for so long. I don't know about the new ways. I'm old school. And I would much rather see us. And then I know that someone put in there, they hate pepper spray. This is what's so cool. I hated pepper spray until I went to one of our safety courses and realized that they have CO2 cartridges that have mace and pepper spray in them, and they can shoot up to 12 feet. They have to be recharged because it's a one use only. However, it's a little bitty cartridge that can fit on your key ring. And I like them.
And you better hope that stops a crackhead.
Well, that's why it's mace and pepper spray, Chris. You brought up a great point, because if they're on certain types of recreational meds or recreational drugs, one will work and one won't. So this one is mixed together so that it kind of puts them in their place. That's a great point. Mace will work on some, pepper spray works on some, but they don't work on all. So it's a little cute little cartridge, there's a lot of resources that we have. I just choose that if we have proper safety protocols, then we're less likely to even have to use self-defense measures. And I like that little thing that you have, Chris, that the little jewelry that you can pop and let people.
Invisaware.
Invisaware. Yeah.
And I have a discount link if you guys want a discount on it.
Yeah.
Oh, what is
out.
that? What is that, Chris? What is it? Show it.
It can be a bracelet. I don't have it on because I'm walking with my security right now, but it's either a necklace or a bracelet, or I think they have rings. They have like scrunchies for your hair where you could just hit the button. So if you're at an open house or you're showing a property and something happens to you, I can just hit this button, boom, and you don't even know I've hit it. I'm just messing with my necklace. It's alerted my husband, 6 other people I programmed into the phone, and it's automatically called 911 and the medics to my last location.
Oh, how cool is that? How
Yeah.
can
Very
we get
cool.
one of those?
I'll go find my link and put it in the chat.
Okie doke. Okay, great. Thank you.
Excellent. So what are some of the other ways that y'all have found that you have put safety measures in place that have worked for you? And Keith, I kid you not, God bless your heart. Every time I have seen you yesterday and today, it reminds me, be careful of couches.
I mean, he's a pretty smart puppy. And I'm like, why did you think if you jump from that couch to this couch that you were going to go anywhere except square into my head, you know? So I'm actually going to take a picture of it, like fighting for my clients every day. I might as well make use of it while I've got it, you know?
Absolutely.
Use it for marketing somehow. But I was just going to say thanks for doing this class because, you know, it's sort of stereotypical and stuff. As a guy, I'm aware of it, but I don't have protocols and I don't, you know, I'll use some street smarts, but I don't really have a formal plan and I'm not alerting anyone where I am and stuff. So this is great to think about from a guy's perspective. And, you know, if you think this stuff can't happen, 2 months ago, I accidentally showed a meth house. I mean, it was a meth house, a meth lab, but it was a destroyed house that someone was wholesaling, believe it or not. And it was a meth lab. So, you know, what else could have gone with that meth lab? All kinds of bad stuff. So it can happen, guys. You can't underestimate this stuff.
There have been things that I've seen on a listing appointment where I had to call our local authorities and say, I'm concerned and I want to remain anonymous because I was in fear of my life when I was in there. Because I saw things that were exploitive. And I ain't talking about a bong. Sorry, I know this is being recorded, but I'm not talking about that type of stuff. I'm talking about.
It happened to me. I show a home where I walked in and I said, "Oh my gosh, what is this?" And the people were lying in the couch. I think that the owner had it for rented. They were renting it, and they were just so high that they couldn't even stand. And it wasn't just like you said about, no, it was something heavier. There were diapers full of poo. I had to run out of the house because I almost vomit. So the kids were not there, but they were children, and they were pots and pots full of dirty diapers. And my goodness, it was horrible. I had to, I mean, I couldn't even finish the showing. I had to leave. We left, and the client, of course, didn't want to continue either because it was such a disaster, and it was scary. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Hey,
Yes.
Nancy, I see that you're on the call. I know that you have some interesting things to share with us today. And she's going to stay on mute. She's been blowing up the chat. Now she's going to stay on mute. Thanks, Nancy.
Hey, Mama Claire, something
Yeah.
simple that everybody probably already knows, but this almost got me once. So lock when you're opening a house up. I know we're, sometimes in a hurry. Realtors are usually late. So when you're going to unlock the house for your client who's coming in, lock the door behind you
Yes.
before they get there.
Yes.
Same when you're getting in and out of your vehicle, just get in, lock the door. Don't sit there and check your phone and then lock the door. So I had a showing with a client, and sorry, I'm out of breath, guys. This always happens, but I had a showing with a client in Tampa, and I didn't know them, but I had Facebooked them, so I saw the picture of them. So I went in, unlocked the house. They hadn't arrived yet, and some dude that was not them walked through the door and wanted me to show him the back bedroom. the back garage, and like all my hair started standing up on my neck. So I reached for my gun and I said, if you would please exit, I'm waiting for a client. I'm more than happy to help you. Here's my card. And he left, but that could have been my life.
That's right.
So just lock the door.
Go with your
Easy
gut.
miss.
Absolutely. In your open houses, I encourage you to do the same thing. Lock the door so that they have to ring the doorbell. Liz is shaking her head. Those of y'all that are doing open houses, lock the door. Even if a group of people come in, lock the door.
You want to control the amount of people who are coming in and out. That's just what it is. Like, I am going to greet you, and so I have a very dominating personality. I think all of you know that. However, and Chris Dove, she's keen to it. Like, I'm gonna assert my authority when you're walking into one of my open houses. So I think that is, thank you for bringing that up, Claire, because I do it. If I'm doing an open house with someone else, I'll leave it unlocked. However, if I'm by myself, everybody knows the door is locked. But when I'm doing it with someone else, we're sitting by the patio sliders. So God forbid you're trying to come in, I already have my planned exit out. So just always keep things like that in mind. Lori, I seen what you just posted. Most of the times when I'm doing an open house, I am doing them within a certain, within 5 minutes of my house, or within 5 minutes of my husband being able to get to me, God forbid. And that's why I like Polk County, y'all, because, if you shoot somebody in Polk County, the judge gonna give you a badge. However, in Orange County, you pull out your firearm, you need to be prepared to go to jail. So you need to know your county's gun laws before you even think about it. So that's why I like to stay in Polk County. I'm just saying. Because
you can't brandish a weapon in Florida and unless you're in imminent danger and you're planning to use it. Y'all need to, if you're choosing that it makes you feel comfortable, please take the gun safety course so that you know the law. Please. I highly recommend having safety protocols in place before you even get to having a firearm or any kind of self-defense with pepper spray, whatever, a taser, a stun gun. And this is what's so cool. I have a stun gun that looks like a cell phone. I keep it with me at open houses.
So even if you use peppermint with someone that because you feel threatened, you're still gonna be in trouble?
You could possibly be in trouble. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because it is considered a weapon.
Okay.
Yes, Chris. If you are a person who feels that they need to have a firearm, you need to be practicing monthly. You need to be making sure that you know how to shoot that gun, how to reload that gun, what the safeties are on that gun. I carry a Smith & Wesson lightweight hammerless snubby, and I can assure you that I know how to use my gun. Ask my husband. He'll tell you what my kill rate is. I don't miss. But I've been shooting since I was a kid because it was food. It wasn't protection. I don't look at that as it gives me more confidence that nobody's going to mess with me, because I can assure you if somebody is less than 5 feet away from you and they're as crazy as what they think they are, they can probably get that gun away from you quicker than you can shoot it. So please be aware that if you are choosing to get a firearm, that you need to be highly educated and highly skilled in the use of firearms. I know that this has been an intense morning. However, your safety matters to me. I am passionate about each and every one of your businesses. I am passionate about our profession as a whole, and I don't want to see anyone within our group or within our industry be harmed. My husband's making fun of me, y'all, because he knows I get passionate about y'all. He loves it.
Claire, my
Anything
husband
else?
just heard you. My husband just heard you and he says, I like this, Claire.
Ken,
Well, excuse my language, you're a badass.
I can't take credit for that. I have to give the glory to the God of my understanding. He gives me the strength every day to do what I do best, which is to share my life with you so that you are in a better position to be productive. That is the God's honest truth.
Amen to that.
So Ken, have you ever run into any situations that you want to share with us?
Well, growing up and living in New York and spending so much time in Brooklyn, from all the situations that I've been in my entire life, I just feel fortunate that I'm still alive. But I've never had a confrontation because I've always felt like I have this protection shield around me. So I had a manufacturing company in Brooklyn for 30 years, and we were on the 7th floor, and at nighttime, the elevators shut. And I was there until 8 or 9 o'clock at night because I worked a lot of hours, and I walked down 14 flights every night for 9 years. And any one of my 100 employees could have been waiting in that staircase for me because we had a disagreement. And for whatever reason, I always felt that, that I was protected, but I also felt like I have like this, it's almost as though you have to be able to read things. Like you get goosebumps when, it's hard to explain, but if I felt like my life was threatened going down those stairs that night because the lights were off, people knocked out the bulbs. It was like, but at the same time, I would have gone back into my factory. And then the back door of that building led to the railroad tracks. So anybody in that 1 million square foot facility with all of these different factories, it's just, the paper routes that I had when I was a kid growing up in these buildings, going down the stairs, delivering, it's hundreds of people in the building and you're going down the stairs delivering papers. And so any of these situations have always been what felt dangerous. I always felt like I read the situation. And then when I started to become orthodox, observant, which is a long time ago, it wasn't the strategy, but I realized that God is my major protection. And that if I do the right things and live the right way, then I won't have judgments against me. And if I don't have judgments against me, you have a protection shield. So understanding the Torah, which is the Bible, you realize how to connect the dots oftentimes. So don't create stuff that compromises your protection shield. Now, because I'm in, I never feel like my safety is in danger now because I work in Boca. It's like but the friends that I have that are wholesalers and they go into these into areas where they're buying homes that are absolutely questionable. These guys are carrying guns and they know that their safety is, and if I was working those markets, I would 100% carry a gun. And I would learn how to use it. My son constantly reminds me how important it is for me to have a gun. He has lots of guns and AR-15s. He goes practicing. He's like fully loaded, lots of ammo, and he thinks I'm crazy for not having a gun permit. in Florida. So even if I'm in Boca.
Ken, Ken,
So,
this is Lori, and I'm in
Hi,
Boca.
Lori.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if you've been reading the news lately, but Kings Point and Del Rey, and
Yeah.
they allowed rentals now, and there is so much
Oh.
crime, and some woman was killed there last week. And now we
Wow.
have a woman's body dumped in 3 separate suitcases on the Intercoastal in Delray Beach. Okay, great area. So no
That's
one's safe
insane.
anywhere. Boca is not safe just because it's Boca. I live here and I'm in a gated, guarded community, and they still break in. So, you're not really, don't ever make that assumption. And yes, I go by God's protection, and I ask him for protection everywhere I go. But, we can never be too safe, so listen to your son. If you don't need to get a gun, but you don't need to get a gun, but just be aware, just be aware.
Absolutely. Lori and Ken, you brought up some great stuff. And it's just, when you have a safety protocol in place, it's that preparation to place you in a position to not be harmed. And that's what's so good, is if we have those safety protocols in place for what we're doing when we're practicing real estate, we're less likely to be in that situation. I've been in a situation where I had a gun pointed at me, a 9mm, didn't even have my gun near me. And you know what I said to this person? I was kind of like Ken. I was like, okay, let's see where this is going. And I said to the individual, I said, honey, if it makes you feel better to shoot me, I'm just going to meet Jesus quicker. Please go ahead. And I stepped back, put my hands in front of me, did not turn my back on this person. And this little idiot looked at me like, you are some crazy white woman. And he ran off. Now, I'm not saying that just because of your spiritual prowessness that you need to feel that you are bulletproof. What I'm saying is Ken is right in making sure that you're aware of your surroundings, and also have that safety protocol in place, that if someone chooses to make the decision to be an idiot, then we are in a better position to stay safe. That's what I'm saying. It's not not one
definitely.
way, and I'm glad that you shared that, Ken, because I know I pulled you in from, because I knew that you were from up north and now you're living in Florida. It's having those mindsets that we're all sharing in collaboration to find out what works best for you. And that's why I'm like, not dictating this is what you need to do for your protocol. No, you need to place yourself in your best protection safety protocol for your needs in your area and what you do, because not everybody on this call does residential real estate. Some of y'all deal with investment properties. Some of y'all deal with foreclosures. You need to do what's right for you and your team, and Lori, you are absolutely right. You can be in a gated community, have all of that protection, and still there is crime. So it's a matter of putting yourself in a position not to be harmed and to place yourself in a position of protection when you're practicing your real estate. Be mindful, know your surroundings, have a safety protocol plan in place, whether you're going to a listing, whether you're showing properties to buyers, whether you're holding open houses, whether you're door knocking. In the links that Tiffany and I put in there, it actually shows in those links what to do when you're door knocking. What are your safety protocols when you're door knocking? What are your safety protocols when you have open houses? I just gave you the resources so that you could devise, because it's your business. We're all independent contractors. This is not quasi-employment, y'all. This is your business. I just was appointed today by some of our teammates that safety needed to be brought up again. And it's important. It is.
Yeah, that's
Your lives matter.
often stuff. I mean, I believe that 100%, that you still have to take all the precautions, even though you pray. So one of the biggest protections any human being can have is to pray for someone else. If I pray for your safety, within me praying for your safety, I'm already praying for my own safety. If I'm praying for your sustenance, I'm already connected to my sustenance. So the biggest protection shield you could have, all of us, is to pray for each other. because you're included in that. When you pray for people that you love and you're connected to, you're included. Your family is included. No different than you help a little old lady across the street, somebody's going to help your mother across the street. You
Yes.
so that's
And then and Ken, you brought up a great point. That leads to wisdom. And wisdom is don't place yourself in a position to be shot.
yeah, that's for sure.
So when we're praying for our own safeties and for our protection throughout the day, and I know this is being recorded and this is not meant to be offensive. This is our personal things that we do, that Ken and I do. We need to be wise. We need to be wise to the fact we can't just think we're bulletproof. God gives us the wisdom to have things in place that teaches us and leads us to a way to go, right?
Yeah.
And that's just so awesome. We can put on the full armor of God and things still happen. You know why? Because God said today's the day. I always tell people all the time, we ain't all there because we ain't all here. God told me a long time ago, I ain't done with you yet. You haven't finished sharing my message to the people that I need you to share it to. So you're going to keep on trucking. And that's what I do. Liz knows it. Everybody, who is in my inner circle, they understand that I'm very passionate about them and about their lives. And I choose to stand in the gap for people and have wings of fire and have anybody chomp on one of you and watch what happens. Mama Bear comes out with a quickness, and I trust that you hear me on this. I would not be here today if it wasn't for the fact that I care about you and that I'm passionate about your businesses and the path that the God of your understanding has you on. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. I will stand in the gap for any of you. Hide in the bushes and watch what happens. And I mean that. And I know I'm being recorded and I know it's live. And I can assure you that when you have your safety protocols in place, it allows you the freedom to be more productive in a more safe environment. And you're not placing yourself in a position to be harmed to where you can't go home to your friends, family, and where your legacies will not be lived out. Sorry. Not sorry. It's just the way that it is. Ask Liz, ask Chris, ask Tiffany. I have stood in the gap with wings of fire and absolutely eaten somebody's lunch because they were not following the rules or they were infringing on somebody's rights. Not gonna fly in my book. Not gonna fly. And so that's why I chose to be here today. And Tiffany allowed me this space for y'all to be able to share this with you because it was important. It was important that people had a need that they needed to hear. And yes, it is sometimes difficult to talk about this because some people get offended with firearms or personal safety. However, having a safety protocol plan is protecting your business, protecting your life, and protecting your future. Every business has safety protocols. Every business. Our business just happens not to be in four walls. So we have a little bit more that we need to do to be wise so that we're not placing ourselves in a position to be harmed.
Yeah, this is a great message, specifically for me, because I just feel like I'm not open to it, and now you're like opening my eyes to what's really going on. Like I'm not exposed to it, and that I need absolute safety protocols.
And it's more important now, Ken, because the numbers are rising that men are being targeted more than women right now. And I don't know if it's for some reason that people just absolutely assume that all of us women got scared and carry firearms now. Now the guys are being picked on, if that's the right term to use. There are more incidences right now with guys being harmed than what there is girls being harmed in the real estate industry right now. It's really kind of strange, because it did a flip. I guess all of us women took that safety course with our MLS and decided nobody's going to mess with me anymore. We took our self-defense classes, we took our gun classes, so, you know, whichever one was best for us that fit our moral fiber, you know, I mean, it's just weird, but it seems to be, there's a rise in the amount of guys that are being targeted. Just saying.
And it probably doesn't make a difference even how large. I mean, I have a friend that's 6'4" and he's huge. He's been working out since he's a kid. And he walks around New York with a baton, an extendable baton, hidden. And so, I mean, he's absolutely ready. And you would never think anybody who would attack him, you would think it's crazy, but he still protects himself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Go ahead, Chris, you got your hand up.
So last thing that was on my heart, and I put it in the chat, but this might be more for the girls. It like literally kills me when my girls post online that they're going to be somewhere in a week at this time. You're literally just delivering the package for somebody that's stalking you. So if you're going to do an open house and stuff like that, because I'm very weird, I choose to do like a live or let people know that I'm there the last hour. That way they got to get in their car and come to me. And it's kind of like an element of surprise. So, I mean, I get up at 3 a.m. I go to the gym every day. I film every day in the gym, but you can't tell me what gym I go to. And there's my gym branding all over it. So you have to be smart.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's so funny. You posted a video that the normal people that were showing up didn't show up because they redid the gym. So I guess that they're
y'all, I know what time people get there. Yesterday I was in and some other guy came in that's never there. And so all my like hair went up on the back of my neck. I'm like, is he stalking you? Has he found you? So I moved all my stuff next to the other guy that comes in at 2:30 that I do see every day to make that fella think I was with him. So you just have to be really aware, and it could have been nothing. But what if it wasn't? And what if I walked out at 3 a.m. and he was there waiting for me? So you just have to think ahead, very far ahead.
I appreciate that. Virginia put in the chat, you know, Claire, I'm going to get pepper spray soon. I highly recommend that you get a CO2 cartridge that has pepper spray and mace in it, because pepper spray does not work on all people. Please understand that. Please go to your safety courses to where you can get great deals through your MLS when you go to the safety course.
Claire, please. What was the ingredients again?
So you need to have, if you're going to use any kind of accelerant, I'll use that term, okay, it needs to include mace and pepper spray, because pepper spray does not work on all people. It will not deter them. And this is the reason why you need to take your safety courses within your MLSs so that you can learn about that, because they offer deals on personal protection devices. Liz, are you still on the call? She is. She's still on the call. I scared the bejesus out of her one day because I had us all have cell phones that were tasers. And I showed her how to use it. And she was like, I ain't taking it.
I was
But
gonna
it looks
say,
like
if
a cell
anybody is against like having like a firearm or pepper spray, do something like have a taser. Because if I have a reason to tase you, or God forbid have to shoot you or stab you or something, that's just because you were too close into my personal space where I felt comfortable. So have something to protect you. I've been into a house where we had squatters before. It's not pretty. I actually shared it with a couple agents yesterday. There was an agent in Philadelphia where I will say, always have a business card that either has your picture or your license on you, that has your photo. And here's why. I'm going to share this story with you guys really quick. There was an agent licensed for 10 years. Keep in mind, business card does not have a photo of her on the card. She also did not have her license on her for whatever reasons. I think that is absolutely absurd, but here we are. So she goes into a house where she's listing this property, and she's about to go into the house, and there's a squatter in the home. So she calls the cops. it's funny now, but it's really kind of messed up. So we're gonna laugh about it in a second. But so she calls the cops and she goes, hey, I'm listing this property. There's a squatter here. Can you come and remove them? Well, she doesn't have her license and her business card doesn't have her ID on it. So the cop goes into the house and asks the squatter for identification. Lo and behold, the squatter doesn't have any ID and hands the police officer a business card. Well, the business card happens to be the business card of the agent hosting who has the listing. So now you have the cop arguing, trying to figure out who's the actual realtor. Is it the lady who just called the cops or the damn squatter? So for the love of sweet baby Jesus, please have your business card with a photo or have your license on you, because can you imagine saying no, that I am Liz and this is my listing, and the squatter's like, no, I'm Liz, this is my listing, and you're arguing of who you are. So just putting that out there, we can laugh about it now, but this is a true story. Right hand to God, this happened. I know the agent. So with that being said, for the love of God, protect yourselves.
So before we go off of record and before we go off of live, thank you, Liz, for that. I want to show you this. Can you see this? Cell phone stun gun. Looks like a cell phone. Okay. You ready? I can turn it on. I can turn it off. And I'm going to turn it on. And the battery's dead. Because it has a little red light, so I need to plug it back in. But anyways, it's a stun gun. But it's dead. It's got a red light, but you can plug it in. And it's very light. It looks like a cell phone.
How close do you have to be to somebody to use that?
They have to be in arm's length. However, I wanted to let you hear it because it is a deterrent, because it is loud. Listen,
Oh,
What does it do?
It's a stun gun.
What
It's a
does it
taser.
do? I don't understand. What does it do?
It stuns the person. It shocks them.
Oh.
So hang on. Can we go off record and off live now? Did y'all get a benefit out of this today?